So good day everyone. So welcome to analog mixing console tutorial. So today we are going to talk how to connect your external effects to your analog mixing console, how it works and how it processes, and how to connect it back to your mixing console. I'm going to use this DI bus as a reference because presently I don't have the external event, but we are going to use these two ports. Now what you need two TS cable, two jack. The first thing you want to do, let's say you have about maybe 24 channel of mixing console, then make sure you have enough auxiliary out. Make sure you have enough auxiliary out on your mixing console. Don't go and use a mixing console that have two auxiliary out. I think you understand. So don't go and use a mixing console with three auxiliary. Don't forget you will need an auxiliary output for your monitors. I'm talking to the people that have a very mighty mixing console. Maybe you have about 6, 8 auxiliary out. Now, if you have about 6 or 8 auxiliary, then you have extra auxiliary out left that you are not using, and you have external effect. This is how you're going to use it. Now you're going to find a dedicated auxiliary out that you are not using for anything. You are not using it for your speaker. Now here, but on this mixing console I only have one auxiliary out, so I'm going to use it as a reference. Then we're going to use this DI bus as a reference, how to connect it, how to send the signal out and return it back to your mixing console. The first thing you want to do, you're going to connect your TS jack. I'm going to connect it now to my auxiliary 1, the aux out, auxiliary 1. For effect send, we are sending the signal out to the external processor. After the processing, then it will return it back to the mixing console. So let's say, for example, this is my output. We go to my input of the effect, external effect rack. It will go to my input. Then the output of your external effect, let's say this is my output now for the external effect. Bam. Then you now look for another dedicated channel that you are not using for anything. Make sure that channel, no microphone is plugged or anything plugged to that channel except the output of the effect. Now this is the output of the external effects. I'm going to use channel 8. So we plug it on line in. Down. So this is the channel that I'm using. This is the auxiliary 1. Now if I turn up this auxiliary 1, the signal that is coming here, it will flow through this aux out. It will go to this effect. Then after the processing, it will return the effect back to the mixing console. I think you understand. So this is how it works. Rule number one. Do a proper gain structure on your effects. What did I say? Rule number 1, a proper gain structure. This is the return. Where you have send, you must also have return, because after the processing, the effect must come back to the mixing console. So rule number 1, you must do a proper gain structure on your effect return. Rule number 2, don't forget that auxiliary 1 is used for the effect sent. Rule number 2, on the effect sent channel, the rule number 2 is that you see this auxiliary 1 must not be open. I think you understand. Must not be open. It must be closed. It must be closed. I think you understand. Then, rule number 3, for the effect to be heard on your PA or on the monitor. For the effect to be heard on your PA, rule number 3, you must turn up the fader up to unity. Don't forget, you have done a proper gain structure. So don't be scared of turning your fader up to unity here. So rule number 4, maybe the musician is requesting for the effect on his wedge. I think you understand. So already you have sent it to your PA. What is coming out here is going to your PA. So rule number 4 now is that, we have used auxiliary 1 to send the effect out to your external processor, and the output of the effect is sending it back to the mixing console. We have sent it out, the effect out to your PA. Now, if the musicians say he wants that effect on his wedge, this is what you will do. Now, we have auxiliary 2, auxiliary 3, auxiliary 4, in whichever auxiliary that the musician wants the effect. Now, let's say this is the auxiliary 1. On the return, not on the channel input, on the return, let's say this is the auxiliary 1. This guy must not be open. And you have your auxiliary 2, let's say auxiliary 2, auxiliary 3. And the musician said, I want the reverb on my wedges. So you have auxiliary 2. Maybe the musician wedges on auxiliary 2. On the return, this is the same return. What you will do, open the auxiliary 2 on the return, effect return. Just make sure you open them little by little. Then from there, you have the effects on the wedge, like that. So that is how you have the effect on your wedge. Then here again, you can also EQ the signal that is coming from the output of your effects to the return channel. You can also do a certain EQ. Then you can put an high pass filter, low pass filter, anything. You can do anything. You can manipulate anything on that particular channel. So thank you very much. In case you find this video interesting, don't forget to like and follow me. So God bless you and see you some other time. Thank you.